Have you attended a Tupperware party this year? Judging by the solid results put up by Tupperware so far in 2015, many people are buying new containers in someone's home while sipping wine with friends. Joining me to discuss the company a bit more is Tupperware's Chairman and CEO, Rick Owings. Thanks for stopping by, Rick. I really appreciate it.
Good to be here, Brian.
So my first question is, you've had some good success this year getting talent. You know, attracting talent is the lifeblood of Tupperware, but the jobs market's improving a little bit. How do you keep these people in 2016?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I was doing a financial interview yesterday, and they were really trying to dig into the strategic success of Tupperware, and they started off by saying it's the products. And I said, no, it's always been the people. All a company ever is a collection of people. Now, we recruit out there when there's higher unemployment. There's a bigger pool of potential recruits. But because it's a solid opportunity and they can go from being a demonstrator to a manager to actually owning a very lucrative business as a distributor, we tend to keep them. So when the job market is more difficult out there, what we end up doing is having more success with the people we have. It's a little bit more difficult to recruit that time, but we still do well.
What is also maybe not difficult around is this mergers and acquisitions market. And you know, as I was putting this interview together, we had a news break on Newell Rubbermaid. I mean, I look at Tupperware, stock goes off 22% from the 52-week high. You guys throw off a ton of cash. Is there any interest in selling the company?
Absolutely not. You know, I don't know how many CEOs they've had there in the time I've been CEO at Tupperware, which is, you know, since the early 90s. But we're a very different company than they are. They basically sell commodity. If you looked at their core product line, commodity products, we really do sell high-tech products. There's a great Napoleonic strategist by the name of von Clausewitz, and if you go to business school at Dartmouth, at Tuck, they require you to read von Clausewitz. And one of the things he always used to say was, with altitude, you have advantage. I mean, that's why they build forts up on hills. You can see, gravity's on your side, you can pour hot liquids over there. One of the first decisions we made when I came to the helm of Tupperware is get away from the commodity products, get altitude. So 20 years ago, you would see us selling many products that were $10. Many of our products now are over $100, but very high tech.
So something like that, a Newell Rubbermaid and a Jarden company, more like maybe more just combined to reduce costs. So it's a very different business model between you and them. Very,
very different. We own the shelf, and so we'll come out with a high tech product. And let's imagine if that product. I'll give you an example, Brian. We just came out with a pressure cooker that goes in a microwave, where normally you'd have to cook a roast in 4 hours. A busy working woman in Paris can make a roast in 28 minutes and have her friends over. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. If that was sitting on the shelf, people wouldn't know what it was. But when it's demonstrated, people look at it and say, oh my goodness. So what makes our company work is not only the great people, innovative products, and the ability to demonstrate the products.
Speaking of demonstrations, my last question is, despite the slowdowns in emerging markets, which are I think about 70% of your sales, very good results this year out of China and Indonesia. What are maybe one or two cultural trends driving those numbers?
Well, a couple of things. Firstly, that's where, you know, Fareed Zakaria wrote a great book called The Post-American World that everybody ought to read, because the US is 5% of the world's population and Europe is 5% of the world's population. Emerging markets are about 85% of the world's population out there, and you have incredible things happening there. Number one, in general, only 30% of the women work outside the home, so they're looking for an opportunity. Two, you've got a very poorly developed retail infrastructure, and we're like an off-road vehicle. We can go, we don't have to wait for retailers to go in there. Third, you've got the real core of this emerging middle class. And they think of the US in the 50s and 60s. Those things really do drive our business over there. And you know, there's a lot of conversation about China right now. Oh, the slowdown in China. Hey, if China grows between 6 and 7%, in its overall market. We grow in the teens in China. That's off a real economy that's about 10 times the size of a decade ago. So, and we think it's overblown. The consumer is still spending money in China.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. Some numbers certainly support that. Well, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Good luck for the rest of the year and for the start of 2016.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.